Today, Dylan and I are going to be giving our top 10 favorite fights from the last 5 years. So 2025 up until 2020. Not technically a full 5 years, but close enough. I'm excited for this one. This one isn't like what was the best fights of all time. This is what me and Dylan enjoyed watching the most. It's what has meant the most to us. Some of them are great fights, but some of them are just like, we just love it.
Yeah, and like few more prefaces, like, you know, it's not like we're diehard since we were like the age of like 10. You know, we're still youngins, so there's probably gonna be more recent answers than there are, you know, fights from 2020. I mean, at the same time too, we've only been doing Dawson's Corner for what, like 6 months now. So like we're like we were watching UFC before that, but like it's just this last year, really, year plus, has been kind of the sweet spot of where a lot of my favorite fights are from.
Yeah.
Too, because like, it's also like
we watch it together now.
Going back and watching an old fight, it's like, okay, yeah, there's some of those, but like getting to watch those with like all 5 of us or all 6, you know, all the guys.
Yeah.
Forever going to be better than watching it at your computer desk by yourself. You know,
it's true.
Like it's not the same. So prefaces, favorite fights. You can't hate on someone's favorite fights. So get bent. Let's go.
Let's go. I've never heard you say get bent before. I kind of like it. My first fight, technically my number 10 fight, Oliveira versus Chandler 1.
Okay.
It's a great fight, but it's too short.
Yeah.
I've said this. I like a fight that ends in a finish, but it goes a long distance. This was possibly, though, the best first round in UFC history. And when this matchup was made, you know it's going to be unbelievable. Oliveira, no defense. Chandler, no defense. Straight offense. And they fought like it was a 2-round fight.
Yeah.
And it was. So I love it so much. And obviously Oliveira got pieced up in the first round, came back, and then got the TKO win in the second round. So just all around good memories. And that's when he won the belt. So like when he ran out of the octagon, I guess if we're including like celebration wise, this might be like top 3.
I might cry.
Yeah. But like it's just a beautiful moment.
Yeah. All right, moving on. My number 10. I feel like this one is here so that I get a little less flamed. You know, it's still one of my favorite fights of all time because it's one of the best fights I've ever seen. You know, it's a pretty basic answer, but Yuri Prochazka versus Glover Teixeira. You know, one of the best fights I've ever seen. You know, and like it's just one of those fights where it's like you can watch it a few times. You know, it's like oh. Yeah, like this fight doesn't age too bad. You know, you're like, oh, this fight's just as good watching it for the 5th time as it was the first time.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like Yuri winning the belt. It's like, you know, Mr. Autism.
You don't even like Yuri, bro. Stop pretending.
I don't like him. but like I kind of do.
You relate to his autism.
I kind of like him, but he's not like my favorite guy.
Yeah, no, this fight has like some of the best replay value ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's another one of those fights
they got that fifth round finish.
Yeah, like went the distance of 5 rounds.
And then got the finish, so it's everything you want in a fight.
Yeah.
But I just don't have that personal connection because I had to rewatch this fight. This wasn't a fight that I watched live.
And it's not like it's any of your favorite fighters either.
Yeah.
So that's fair. That's fair. We'll talk about that one later for sure. All right, my number 9 fight. This one, very recent. I wanted to include at least one fight from 2025 just because Dvalishvili versus Nurmagomedov.
Okay.
I think this was such a great fight. We were watching it live and just like the level that they showed, bantamweight's such a skilled division. And in the first 2 rounds, we had never seen anyone take it to Merab like that. We were thinking, oh, Umar's the GOAT, man. He's outclassing Merab on the feet and defending the takedowns and even getting a takedown of his own. And it was just like, that was super exciting. And then the 3rd round, the tide just slowly starting to shift. And then Merab clip farming on him and just like making it a show. Like all around great memories. And in my opinion, so far, I mean, I made this before UFC Seattle. I don't think UFC Seattle had a better fight than this, though. So this is still, I think, my top fight of 2025 so far.
I would agree it's been the best fight of 2025.
Yeah, like there wasn't any really submission threat or KO threat, but if you want high level MMA,
the class was unreal.
This is probably the best you can watch.
Yeah. All right, moving on to my number 9. It wouldn't be a list without the man, the myth, the legend, Conor McGregor. You know, it's too bad I couldn't put my favorite fight of all time on here. You know, Conor versus Khabib. I've watched that fight like 8 trillion times.
Really?
Dude, I love it. Because there's like this. I haven't watched like, so I'll watch like either the full fight or like there's this like edit of it in the background of like Skyfall by Adele.
Oh,
that
yeah.
edit, the Skyfall edit of it.
Great edit.
I love that edit so much that I've like showed it to like my like ex-girlfriends. I'm like, I need to show you some art. You have to sit here for this 5 minutes and watch this.
And then they divorced you.
Besides the fact, but yeah, Dustin versus Conor too. Obviously, you know, Conor won the first fight. In the first round pretty easily, and then Dustin got his back. You know, he got it back. We got to see Conor lose, which I mean, at the point where it happened, we liked to see Conor lose. You know, he was gone at that point, basically.
Dude, the buildup was so weird for that fight. That was nice McGregor. So weird.
But he was like weird looking McGregor at
yeah,
that
and
point.
It was just so fake.
Yeah.
Like he got the hairline from Turkey and changed him.
Yeah, but like getting to see Dustin get that win, you know, the good guy. At this point, everyone knew that Dustin was the good guy.
Yeah.
Get that win over Conor. And then obviously the third fight had that doctor stoppage. So, you know, it's an interesting trilogy because it doesn't feel like a trilogy.
No.
But it technically was a trilogy, just a weird one. And I feel like we never really got to like see a true like fight between them two.
Prime versus prime.
Yeah.
We never got it, even though we had 3 fights.
But I still really like the second fight just because Dustin versus Conor, you know, everything around it, you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like a Conor Glazer.
Conor Glazer. Was that the only Conor fight? I mean, obviously there's the third.
There was the Cowboy.
Ugh, that doesn't count,
Yeah,
bro. That's such an ass fight. Number 8, O'Malley versus Jan.
Ooh, of course you have it on here.
Bro, it's a great fight.
I'm surprised it's not higher. I'm surprised this ain't your one.
No, it's a great fight. As I've said, the best 3-round fight, maybe in MMA history. It's just such high level striking, wrestling. You got to see Sean O'Malley's heart for the first time, pretty much, and you got to see Jan. I mean, Jan's been on a rough streak, and he put it all on the line. Lots of people think he should have won. I think he could have gone either way. I wouldn't be mad with either decision, but I think for this moment in Sean O'Malley's career, it was much more important that he win just because of that title rise. And then he got the fight with Sterling and put him out. Like it was better in all for O'Malley's career. So I am happy for that decision.
And it's not like Jan isn't on his way back now.
Exactly.
You know, it was a mere hiccup.
Exactly. But it's just like, again, it's one of those fights where if you want to see a good representation of MMA, you watch this fight.
Yeah.
It has wrestling, it has striking, it has knockdowns. And then it's like kind of when you're watching a movie and you don't know how it's going to end, it's just like that.
And if we get a sequel, 5-round sequel.
Yeah. We're not getting it. We're not getting it.
Yeah, you never
They're
know.
doing O'Malley verse. Do you see in the press conference? Dana was like, the people want to see it and they want it. Bro, we're getting O'Malley versus Merab too.
Yeah, we are.
So dumb.
All right, moving on to my number 8, a fight you already mentioned. This is probably another fight that I'd watch the most. It's Charles versus Chandler 1.
Yeah, it's only 7 minutes. You can just replay it.
In the lead up to their fight at 309.
309.
309. I couldn't tell you how many times I rewatched this fight. Just because everything about it, you know, and then getting to see Charles win 7 minutes later, it's like,
yeah,
it's like
it's a roller coaster.
Yeah, you're like, oh, like I've watched this fight 10 times already in the last hour, but it's like, oh no, is Charles gonna lose? Is he gonna lose? No, you can't. And then, oh, he's back. He's so back.
Imagine watching that fight live and not knowing who's gonna win. Like it's easy to watch that fight now that we know who's gonna win, but
I wish.
Frick, dude.
Give me dementia so I can watch that fight live, not knowing what happens. But yeah, just basically everything you said, like such an exciting 7 minutes of UFC.
Yeah, probably one of the best first rounds.
Yeah.
Number 7, I got Volk versus Ortega.
Okay.
Probably Volk's best title defense. Like obviously you have Holloway 3, which was dominant, but if you're not counting the Holloway stuff, like this was unbelievable from Volk. It's where he showed levels, showed his championship mentality, getting out of 2 submission attempts, or maybe it was even 3, but that guillotine probably would have put out anyone else. And then for him to come back in, you just see he was mad after that. He was just ground and pound. And I think it's probably my favorite Volk title defense. Probably more than the Max Holloway 3 fight. I'm just trying to think. But yeah, it's such an underrated fight. Like, it's something that I don't really get. It's not talked about in like the best fights.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it was like a top 5 fight of the year that happened. I think it was 2021. Let's see. Yeah, 2021. So I don't think it gets talked about enough. And in my opinion, it's Volkanovski's toughest title defense because it was a tough stylistic matchup from him.
Fair enough. All right, moving on to my number 7. This is one that probably, I don't know, maybe a little bit niche just because of, you know, who one of my favorite fighters is. But I think that just like, I don't know, everything about this fight was just like very much good story, you know, even from the walkouts to after the fight. Max Holloway versus Korean Zombie, you know? I think that this was like, this was right around the time where I was getting into UFC. I remember watching this and like I had like a bunch of edits oddly when like my full reels wasn't just all UFC, you know, but like tons of edits around this fight, and I was kind of like, in your head, in your head. But yeah, like Korean Zombie, his last fight up against Max Holloway. This is kind of what like. I don't know, maybe it was a change for Max Holloway's career, you know, even though it was a short change where he went to like, oh, Max Holloway knocked someone out? What's going on here? You know, This isn't Max Holloway.
He has power now.
Yeah. All of a sudden, and then, you know, we had the Gaethje KO shortly after. But like, I don't know. I just really like this fight, you know, because it's, you know, we get the finish. It's not super long. We get to hear Zombie during the walkout for KZB, and then like even though like KZB loses, retires, like it's still just like it's a feel good moment, you know, having a guy like Max put you away. Who else would you want to retire you? You know, so I don't know. It's just a fight that I like random. I don't even know if it's random to love this fight. I just have a lot of love for this fight. It's a feel good fight.
The crowd was unreal in that fight. Singapore crowd, unreal. We need to go back ASAP.
Let's go to Singapore.
I'd be down, bro. It's a crazy city. It's a crazy city. I want to go to Asia one day.
I've already been.
Not for the food. Well, I might eat, but okay. Next up,
You might munch.
yeah. Next fight, number 6 on the list. We gotta start going through this faster. Poirier versus Hooker. It's just a classic, you know. I think it's the TikTok edits that really sell it for me. When they release I actually love that they've been releasing no audio from, no crowd audio for the fights. So you just hear the raw hits. Pause. But that fight is just so back and forth, up against the fence. Both like pocket boxers, incredible at what they do. And then at the end, Poirier going over to the corner of Dan Hooker when he's just like on the ground and trash talking him. Like everything about it is just iconic. And unfortunately, that kind of started the downfall of Dan Hooker. But I think they both took probably 2 years off their lifespan with that. At least. Yeah, it was a great fight. And anyone who hasn't seen that fight, or if you haven't rewatched it like in the past year, go back and rewatch it. It's legendary.
It's a good take.
Yeah.
A lot of DP on this list.
He's a great fighter.
He is a great fighter. Never champed, though.
Never champed, though.
All right, moving on to my number 6. This is where I have the best fight in 2025. The best fight, like, in terms of skill-wise that I have seen.
What?
I think it might have been, I mean, skill-wise, maybe even better than anything we saw in 2024. I am that high on this fight. Maybe it's recency bias.
What is it?
Umar versus Merab.
Oh, why'd you have to look? I already said it.
I know. I don't know why I had to look.
I don't know.
But maybe it's muscle memory. But like, if you could have been in the room with us during this fight, the amount of glaze that I had for this fight, I was like, this is the best fight I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This is amazing. Oh, man. Oh.
And I agreed with you at the time.
And you know what? I don't even care that the guy I was rooting for, Umar, lost, because this fight made me like Merab. Mm-hmm. You know, like I was kind of like coming into it, I was like, you know what? Like I don't hate Merab, you know, like I was pretty soured on him post O'Malley fight, just the way that everything went in that fight. And then in the build up, I was like, you know what? He does have personality. He tries, you know, he tries to build himself up. I don't hate him. You know, I'm just like, I'm like, he's mad. This fight, I'm like, yeah, I get a Merab tattoo that on my chest.
Well, didn't your brother say something? What did he say?
Oh, what a time! Oh, this was a long time ago, but like, he's like, oh yeah, that he's actually pretty exciting now, or something about that. He's like, oh, he's actually kind of like him now, and I was like,
casual UFC fan liking Merab. That's crazy.
So,
he's back.
Yeah,
He's
this fight changed my opinion on Merab while being just amazing.
Yeah.
You know.
Number 5.
Top 5.
Top 5. First one, Makhachev versus Volk 1.
Okay.
One of the best fights, highest level fights. We talk about high level. This is high level. This is as high level as it gets. Pound for pound, number 1 best fighter versus the number 2 best fighter in the UFC probably at the time. It's just like, it doesn't get any better than that. Volk was on this crazy win streak, like 12 fight win streak, hadn't undefeated in the UFC. And then Makhachev obviously is a dominant force in his own right and just became the champion. So everything about this fight was perfect. The crowd in Australia, maybe the loudest crowd I've ever heard in a fight. And if you don't believe me, watch it back because I think it is the loudest crowd. Like, it's just insane. I told you this before. They need to add decibel meters on the octagon so we can tell how loud the crowd is.
That would be awesome.
That'd be hype. And then you get bonuses depending on who's the loudest. Anyways, yeah, I'm not going to say too much about this fight because we've already gone a long time in this video, but it's just beautiful. It's just a beautiful display of MMA, the wrestling, Volk taking it to Makhachev, Makhachev showing his stand-up game, how much it's evolved, and the first round. Like, I love the clip when Volk is like boxing in the pocket and then Makhachev drops him. Volk goes down on one knee, gets right back up and keeps boxing. Like, man, that shit's so good, dude. It's so good.
All right, moving on to my number 5. Maybe the only person to have this fight in their top 5 favorite fights of all time, or of the last 5 years. Paddy Pimblett versus King Green at UFC England or London last year.
I'm going to kill myself.
Oh, getting to see Paddy break King Green's arm, basically, and then also choke him out at the same time. I have never been more excited.
Cinema.
Like, the way that King Green changes his name to King Green before the fight.
That's true. That's
all this trash talk, and then within the first round, basically just dies.
That's so true.
Yeah. What else could you ask out of your favorite fighter? There's nothing more I could have wanted from Paddy Pimblett in that fight.
I respect it. And
it's my favorite, so I'm going to put this fight there.
Yeah.
Do I have Islam versus Volk on my list? No. But do I have Paddy Pimblett versus King Green? Yes.
You're insane. He's a madman. Someone stop this guy. Take away his channel. All right, number 4. Topuria versus Holloway.
Another fight I don't have.
Well, I don't blame anyone if they don't have this on their top 10. But for me, Topuria, my favorite fighter, going into this fight, I was the only one riding strong with Topuria.
Just wait until our favorite fighters fight each other.
Who?
They're now in the same division. Topuria versus Paddy. You better watch out.
I thought you were going to say Topuria versus Holloway too. No, but yeah, Topuria is my favorite fighter, and going to this fight, a daytime fight, it was just a great morning. It was just a great morning, the entire lead up to it. And then having this to top off, I'll tell you guys something. I don't know if you know this. I was so nervous or just like so excited that my jaw hurt for days afterwards.
Really?
Like how much tension I had in my jaw, like it hurt for days. So that's how much I cared about this fight. And having like going into the third round was perfect. Like, you know, 4th round, 5th round, I would have been getting nervous for Topuria because I feel like the longer that fight would have gone, it would have shifted more into Max's favor. But yeah, Topuria got the 3rd round KO, and just the boxing, the level. If you want to see a high level striking matchup, featherweight against Topuria versus Holloway, you cannot ask for anything better than that. Also, the build up for weeks and months. Like, we made so many videos on it. I think that's the time where like we've been the most invested in MMA.
Yeah,
it feels like. It just doesn't get better than that.
Our life was UFC 308. Like,
yeah, it doesn't get better than that, dude.
No.
It's so good.
All right, moving on to number 4. Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier from UFC 302. Now, let me tell you, the build up to this, can Dustin do it? The edits.
Like a diamond.
And then, this was like, I think the last pay-per-view that we didn't watch together. All right.
Oh, yeah, you were at baseball.
I had a softball tournament, and then like our game ended, and we like quickly.
Isn't softball a girl sport?
Not when it's beer league slow pitch softball. We quickly ran to like the closest person's house. Like we all drove there. Luckily, they had a pool. So then we turned on the fight. Before every round, I did a front flip into the pool for Dustin Poirier, hoping to give him luck.
I didn't know that.
I did. I don't. And then I'd run back into the hot tub. So I was watching this in a hot tub. It was electric. It was like right beside the softball. So I was like, perfect. I was like, we're good. You know. I got to watch this fight because I told him I don't care about anything else on this card. This card's junk. You know.
It was a bad card.
But I am not playing. I'm watching this fight, and they're like, okay. But then we ended in time. We raced out of there. So because they all wanted to watch it too. And then like I remember we all put like money on Dustin Poirier. Like everyone's like sent like even like the girls who have no idea. They're like, oh yeah, put $20 on him for me.
Really?
So like it was just the whole idea of like Dustin could do it and then he didn't, but he like put up that good effort and just like it's a feel good. I still think that Dustin should have retired after this fight. I think that would have been a great send off for him. But
yeah, it was a great fight. Great fight for sure. All right, number 3, Prohaska versus Teixeira. My favorite, probably like in my opinion, the best fight of all time. So I had to put it pretty high. It has insane replay value. I've watched it so many times, and the back and forth, anyone could have won. The striking, the lack of defense, it's just beautiful. You know, the chin, back when Yuri's chin was in his prime, somehow Glover, his chin, absolutely insane for a 40-year-old. And then, you know, back and forth, round after round after round after round. And then in the 5th round, Glover gets submitted. It's like, what? Just so unexpected. The amount of blood on the canvas, insane. I think this was another Asian card. I think this might have been a Singapore fight.
it might have.
Let me look that up real quick.
Look it up.
But yeah, I'm not going to say too much on it because you already had it, so you can move on to your next one.
Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya 2.
Ooh.
I don't know. There's just something about this fight, which is weird because I love Alex Pereira. You know, I like Pereira more than Izzy, but I also love both fighters. Mm-hmm. And then getting to like kind of see the Adesanya finally beat him. You know, Pereira, who was the villain, you know, beat Adesanya 3 times.
Singapore. It was Singapore
look
again.
At this guy go.
Holy.
Alex Pereira follows Adesanya to the UFC, and then, you know, like, it's just dominating him, you know, in that whole fight. And then the Adesanya, the fake dead, boom, got all he needed was one. And then just kind of I don't know, it's spectacle.
The celebration.
I don't know, everything about it, just spectacle. I don't know why I love this fight so much, but I just do. Mm-hmm. I love this fight. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So good. My number 2 fight, Holloway versus Gaethje.
My number 2 fight's Holloway versus Gaethje.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what more is there to say?
At first it was 1, but then I changed it.
All right, well, we'll get into that. But Holloway versus Gaethje, I'd say in our lifetime of watching combat sports is like the most insane thing to ever happen.
Yeah.
The KO, the matchup of it. Like if you followed the storyline coming into that fight, you knew it was going to be violence. And then the full 5 rounds
was violence.
Literally, you got a full 5 round of fighting plus a KO, which is like insane. Plus the whole storyline of your parlay of it, with you having Holloway
by decision, and then 1 second left, and then I'm just all of a sudden naked.
What? I don't remember that.
I think I like.
Oh yeah, you started taking your clothes off.
I just didn't know what to do. I was like, I think it just took off my shirt or something, because I think it was a Holloway shirt. So I was like,
oh yeah.
I was like, oh, get this. This guy
sold my parlay. Yeah. And yeah, the point down became iconic. Like we've talked about so much because we've done so many 2024 recap videos. But it's just probably the coolest moment that I've ever watched live.
Yeah. Do you want me to give my number 1 first? You want
yeah.
Okay.
You give your
so before I give my number 1, I kind of had, I just want to give 2 honorable mentions to Pereira versus Jamal Hill and Pereira versus Yuri. Like, I don't think that like the quality of these fights were awesome, but just kind of like watching them main events, you know, Pereira main event, all the boys show up for it.
Yeah.
Awesome, you know, awesome KOs. Number 1, call me crazy.
I think I know what it is.
Pereira versus Roundtree.
As soon as you started saying Pereira's fights and you didn't mention Roundtree, I was like, yeah.
I, in my time being a UFC fan, have never had such a emotional roller coaster in a fight. So one thing about me is like diehard sports fan for my whole life, you know, everything. But I get so anxious watching sports that I can't sit down, and like I'm having like panic attacks, screaming, yelling. Like my dad, like me and my dad will be just watching the Blue Jays, and he'll just be like, "What are you doing?" Like, or like watching the Lions, like first down. I'm like, first down. Like I just can't control myself. You know, it's probably the autism. Yeah. Okay, but like I hadn't really experienced that in UFC. up until this point of watching this fight where I thought Pereira was gonna lose after lose. I'm standing up. I'm every punch. I'm like, oh, like screaming.
Yeah.
It's like 10:30 at night. My family's asleep, but all of us are just screaming in my living room. I don't know. There's just like the emotional roller coaster of this fight. It was awesome, you know, and just I don't know. This fight was violent. Was just so good. There was no defense, all offense. It was just an awesome fight. So that's why it's my number one.
That's fair. It's your list.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't argue with that, guys. You can't argue. It's his list. One thing I will say, quick fun fact of information. If you ever want to learn something faster, attach an emotional response to it, because the reason why you remember certain things is because you have emotions tied to it. So if you're ever studying for something, try to make it something that means something to you rather than just like words on a page.
Like when we're trying to memorize every single bone in the hand in school, you do the some lovers try positions that they cannot handle.
And that means something to you? You've had that experience?
No, I have not had that experience before.
Oh.
Have to be with a woman to have that experience. I guess I could be a male.
Yeah, you could.
Or is that the foot one? I don't know, but they're funny.
Yeah. All right, for my number one fight of all time. Again, this is my list, and this is the fight that technically got me into MMA when the legend himself, you may have heard his name, Darnell on the channel, the Faceless Man, when he invited me to watch this card. This is when I've watched UFC before, but to watch the full card and for this moment to happen, he explained the rivalry, how Israel Adesanya had called out this man from the bar, and this 6'4" giant Brazilian man who, how the hell did he make 185 pounds? That's all I could think. How is this the same weight class? Like, I kept on saying to him, this is an unfair fight because Pereira is so big. I was like, it's not fair for Izzy, even though Izzy was winning half the rounds. Like, I thought it was completely unfair. And then for Pereira to become like my favorite fighter, probably, or top 3 favorite fighters now, and to see what he's gone on and done, like, it feels like I've been along for the ride.
You've been there.
And for this to be like the fight that got me hardcore into watching fights, it means a lot. So it's Pereira versus Adesanya 1.
Oh, you got Unk status.
I got no, but I couldn't put Pereira versus Adesanya 2 because there's ain't no way I'm putting the fight that Pereira got KO'd in.
I don't know. I think I like 2 better.
It's a better ending for sure.
And you see more edits to it. You see more Instagram reels.
Yeah.
If you, not every single fight on my list, I saw like 8 trillion Instagram reels of, so it helps, solidify it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's confirmation bias.
Yeah.
The algorithm knows what you like.
Yeah. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for us today. Make sure you guys go into the comments. Let us know, what is your guys' favorite fight of all time. We want to know. We want to hear it. While you guys are down there, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. We appreciate all the love and support. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.